but there is space for improvement. How we can convince firms to reduce emissions by themselves without introducing taxes, subsidies, trading permits, market controls, which in some aspects are not efficient. For example, subsidies can bring to more hazard, command and control need a lot of information. How we can convince firms that being green is financially profitable and that good environmental performance means good financial performance. Thanks.
Convince firms. What can we convince firms? Correctly, Kaiser, that being environmentally performance, we are also economically performance. You don't think so?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's possible to do that, absolutely. I mean, there are two, there's sort of a direct answer to the question, which I suppose is that, efficiency is the desired way of operating any kind of a company. And lowering your costs is one way of beating the competition. The difficulty is that your costs do not necessarily reflect the impact of your activity on the environment. So, which is why you have systems like carbon taxes and emissions trading schemes to internalise that external cost. And then there's another answer. I remember talking to a couple of years ago a fund manager who was working for a hedge fund based in Mayfair here in London, which is the home of the UK hedge funds. And the basic investment strategy of that fund was to target companies that had a good environmental record. And when I asked him why, he said because that probably means, or the assumption is that means that the management of the company is forward-thinking, intelligent, quick-footed, and therefore is going to make the right decisions on a whole host of other challenges that face the company. And so the hedge fund investor would therefore target those companies. In other words, that the environmental performance would be a flag, if you like, of intelligent management, which I thought was quite interesting. I have no idea if that hedge fund is still operating.
We've got a disagreement here, so George, why not?
I don't think that companies lose any points for being environmentalists, except perhaps with some of the fossil fuel burning energy companies themselves. So I don't think that it's necessarily a barrier to success. I just think that the costs of doing so rarely justify the benefits. One of the things that we had here in Britain being introduced was something called the carbon reduction commitment. And basically, this was a mechanism by which commercial companies, a bit like the ETS, but not quite the same, were going to be encouraged to reduce their emissions, their carbon emissions and their energy usage. And they were going to be rewarded, in fact the money was going to be recycled. So the idea was that there's a quantity of emissions that certain sort of companies currently give off. And then the money was, as they reduce their emissions, the money would be recycled between them so that the people who reduce the emissions the most would get the biggest share of the pie. And in addition to this, one of the major flagships of the government policy was to have a scorecard. So the commercial companies would all get ranked according to how well they reduced emissions. They could pat themselves on the back, and all of their customers were very pleased about it, and ultimately this would be good PR. And what's really interesting is the scorecards went out of the window. So in the last few months, DEC announced that it wasn't going to go ahead with the scorecard. And presumably that's because the companies didn't think that it was worth their while.
Let me ask at the London School of Economics, do we want to be environmentally in performance or not? Is the economic future in our countries? That's the question here. Shall we? So Sorry for the passenger in the microphone.
Come dormito? Stanno chiedendo la London School of Economics.
Sì, ma è dormita quella della London School of Economics.